Former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Olisa Agbakoba, says the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission ought not to be in existence, insisting that the commission currently operates outside the Constitution. The senior advocate of Nigeria, who spoke in Lagos, insists that the 1999 Constitution only provides one police force for Nigeria, adding that since the anti-graft agency was not a branch of the police, it could not perform its functions. Mr. Agbakoba argues that since the EFCC is a creation of the National Assembly, it doesn't have the powers to interfere with the activities of state governments. The human rights lawyer, however, says is not fighting the commission, noting that the real issue is about the failure of the security agencies to obey the rule of law.
We may or may not agree, but it will at least resolve the problem of the nature of powers of the EFCC. There are some statutory powers of the EFCC that he can say to me, oh, I agree with you, or I don't agree. There are some. So there are some that do not involve the Constitution, and he and I cannot do anything about it. You can't take a state law like stealing and package it as an economic and financial crime. The EFCC problem, I now see it in a larger context, that it's not just the EFCC that is the problem, it's the Constitution. Now, it is the Constitution that makes the governors impotent. They exist at the pleasure of the federal government.
Now let's take a look at a troubling issue. The family members of a 23-year-old man, Femi Adesina, is calling for attention on. They're asking the Nigeria police to release his body for burial after his death in Osun Police Command custody on the 15th of April 2022. Senior correspondent Ivy Kanu has more.
It's been 9 months of pure agony and confusion for the family of 23-year-old Femi Adesina. Femi is reported to have died in police custody in Osogbo, Osun State. A family member, Omolola Awoyele, narrates how her brother went to watch football match and never came back alive.
It was late. He could not go home, so we decided to spend the night with him. Around 4:30, my brother saw torchlights around their compound, so he woke his friends up that it's like there's someone in the compound. All of them woke up and they started running, police, 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 police.
Was any effort made to bail him after his arrest?
They said they will collect 3 million each. When they got to the police station, they started looking for money to bail them and all that. We paid 1 point. So that same lawyer just came to the family house and said that they don't want to see any family member. They were only giving him money, 1,760,000.
She said what is even more shocking was the press statement released by the command on her brother, his friends, and the alleged offense said to have been committed by them.
There was a story they wrote online that they saw 3 guys with human hearts in OAU. The story they now wrote for my brothers too was that they saw 3 guys with human hearts. And the story they wrote before has been long, which my brother's case happened April. So they just edited just the name and gave them the same story.
We sought to know if the family have any information on how 23-year-old Femi died in custody.
So when those guys came back to Ile-Ife, I went to visit them. I asked them that what happened. They told me that they took my brother out of the cell 13th of April. They did not bring him back. So it was the 3rd day, that's on Friday evening, that one of the policemen told the 3rd guy is dead.
Representatives were eventually allowed to see his body a week after.
I don't know what really happened to his chest. Maybe they hit him something, I don't know, but went inside.
Now, having spoken with Lola, who is Femi Adesina's first cousins, I think it's only proper for us to reach out to Osogbo Police Command and find out what transpired between the 7th when he was arrested and 15th when he died.
The police were doing their surveillance work, like a stop and search, and they were seen carrying some things in the polythene bag. And while searching what they were holding, they saw a a hat, an object that looked like heart, fresh one, complaining of stomachache or something like that, and immediately was taken to the hospital, police hospital. We took him there and he was treated. He was okay. He came back they brought him back to the police custody to continue the investigation. Later, he developed the same symptom. The police now called his family. They did not come, but they took him again to the same hospital where he later gave up. Nobody said that they collected anything from them.
While these accusation and counter-accusation continue, his family is asking that the Inspector General of Police intervenes and orders the release of his body for burial. Ivy Kano, TVC News, Lagos.
Nigeria's Minister of State for Power, Gadi Agba, has denied being aware of an indiscriminate increase in electricity tariff by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. He made this assertion at a public hearing on the Electricity Reform Bill. At the hearing, members of the House Committee on Power and of the Governors Forum were sharply divided over the constitutionality of setting up electricity regulatory agencies in the states. National Assembly correspondent Joke Adisa reports.
Months after the House Committee on Power rounded off work on a bill to amend the Electricity Power Sector Reform Act, it is holding this legislative sitting to hear from state governors whose input had yet to be included. The bill seeks to provide legal and institutional framework for the implementation of rural electricity projects. It also aims at establishing the National Power Training Institute and regulatory provisions to strengthen the sector for efficient service delivery.
The constitutional provision that give them the right to form a regulatory agency, like Nigerian Regulatory Electricity Agency. So they want this in individual states. That's all what we sit today to consider.
Electricity workers used the opportunity of the gathering to draw attention to the recent alleged indiscriminate increase in electricity tariffs imposed on consumers by the Regulatory Commission. But the minister claims ignorance of any such development. The workers' union and the sector also kicked against the over 3 trillion naira injected by the federal government into the privatized electricity companies owned by individuals without commensurate increase in power generation in the last 10 years.
When you come up with a tariff and you say it is service reflective, and the person that determines whether you are giving him service or not does not make any input, that, oh, I have really received service. Or you give me 20 naira and you say it's based on service reflective. And I'm saying that you have not given me service. We have to balance that.
The National Assembly fully comprehends the enormity of the work that needs to be done to rejig the national electricity supply industry (NESI) and the urgency to fast track and deliver adequate electricity to Nigerians.
In its presentation, the Governors Forum seeks the right for states to establish electricity markets for themselves, especially with the deregulation of the Regulatory Commission.
Laws and establish markets for the generation, transmission, system operation, distribution and supply of electricity within their respective territories and subject to the transitional provisions contained in item 14.
Why don't we have a board for NAC? Why don't we have members of the labor market in the NAC's committee? So that's exactly what we are debating today.
The House Committee on Power has promised to look through the 15-point demands of the state governors. Joke Adisa, TVC News, Abuja.